28 weeks later, there's more action, there's more jumps, there's less suspense. In the first film, you didn't know what was happening. The audience woke up with this guy who was in hospital and they were with him. What the hell is going on in this city? This time, you see exactly what happens from patient zero to the disease spreading. You just see it on a much bigger scale.
If you're a fan of the first one, you love, well, a lot of people call them zombies, but they're infected. But fine, call them zombies, I don't care. Loads of them. You like blood and guts, it's there. You like, sense of humor, it's there. Good character development, great story, a lot of action.
It's a real twisty, turning kind of plot and a really cool storyline as well that will make the action a bonus.
The action sequences in the film have been quite exciting to look back at, actually. And it's funny, it's one of these things that, of course, you see that in the script. Because I'm an actor's eye rather than a filmmaker's eye, you're not quite sure how that's ever going to turn out. It's been enjoyable, certainly, to take part in them, and as I say, to see them back and see how they all look, and suddenly realising there is partly an action film,
It's very physical. Yeah, I find it quite tiring, because constantly trying to build up that fear within a scene. For example, in this film, the infected, the zombies, are constantly attacking. So constantly having to sort of play fear and the energy required for that, take after take. It's really quite exhausting, but it's good fun.
It's horrible, like you say. You okay? The action scenes they're kind of tiring, yeah, just physically, because you've got to run around a lot, and my character gets shot in the leg, so I've got this limp that is driving me crazy because I have to keep up with everybody else as we're running around, and also we've got guns and things like that, so injuries and weapons can make it a little tiring, but it's really fun. I love doing physical stuff.
I felt like all we did was run, to be honest, man. All we did, I was sprinting every day, running from the infected, shooting infected.
The main challenge for me was to make it real, to make this story real. If I put myself as audience watching the movie, I would love to see a movie that you could smell the characters and the environment, and you could feel that that story could happen really close to you.
I thought it looked really exciting, really different, especially the situation that a 17-year-old girl would find herself in. Some quite shocking sequences. There's a moment when Tammy is just crawling through lots of corpses on the ground, and the idea of that is quite mind-blowing, just being surrounded by just dead people, and so it's kind of just sheer terror. And just disgust. The smell would just be terrible as well. It's just death and corpses surrounding her everywhere. So I think that was quite a challenging moment, just to try and actually put yourself in that situation.
It's a big action film done on a pretty small budget, and a way to achieve a lot of that is realistically, and we've used a lot of handheld camera. I think that's partly because we wanted to look realistic. We wanted to feel sort of believable.
That's why I made the movie as a kind of horror documentary. The style of the documentary is delivering, conveying something real. On the other hand, it's so difficult to shoot in that way. You need a lot of cameras, handheld style, and especially in the acting and in the art department, and everything should be linked to that idea. It's the best way that you can face this story about an infection taking over London again.
They're being pretty faithful to the guerrilla style that 28 Days was, which made it stand out from your average horror film, So they're keeping that style.
Enrique did a lot of handheld. I mean, he got beat up every day. Blood always on the camera. It's always covered in plastic and right in the thick of things. Even Danny Boyle, who did some second unit stuff, got beat up and hurt his shoulder. Couldn't do it anymore.
Danny Boyle came in to do some of the second unit. He was so enthusiastic and really likes to involve the actor in the process. I thought I'd done some of the best acting I've ever done in my life.
That's what Danny achieves time after time. The encouragement and the enthusiasm that he has is just fantastic. And it sounds kind of obvious, but you don't always get that. You don't always get that encouragement from directors, you know.
Well done, everyone. Well done, Infected. Thank you very much.
Therefore, Juan Carlos trying to go in and fill that is a difficult job, but I think Juan Carlos's humility and humanity and just the way he is as a man, people are warm to him, saying that he's not trying to make any kind of statement here, that he's not trying to make a name for himself in any way. He's there to serve the project like we all are.
It's fantastic to see how they're so different. And I think they're both wonderful in both their different ways, you know, whereas Juan Carlos is just very good with human behaviour.
For me, it was a big challenge making this movie, especially after the first one, because I think 28 Days Later was a new benchmark in terms of the horror movies, so that was the big challenge for me.
When he first described how he was going to do the film, it was this idea of this father figure. The film begins through his eyes, if you like, but it's got this idea of looking at this thing of enormous value to the world is centred in this family, and it's played out through the family drama, if you like. And Juan Carlos Fresnadillo was a great man to hand the baton on to.
Thank you, Danny.
It's everything I think the first one is, but on crack. There's a lot more action, there's a lot more gore, and hopefully, you know, interesting characters that you want to follow on that journey.
You're back again in this world of the horror of the infection. Everything seems normal, but suddenly this infection is chasing you. One of the new things in this sequel is, for the first time, you're tracking one infected character, watching how a man is becoming an infected man, and for an instance, you are there with him, feeling that kind of rage and trying to understand what's going on with these infected people.
Working with the infected is excellent. They're so dedicated. They're fantastic. They have to run and scream and shout and gurgle blood and stuff constantly. And they never falter and they never wane with their enthusiasm. And they're also incredibly funny.
And then I start slamming his head off the floor and then eating him and ripping out his lungs.
While we're all waiting around or waiting for the next shot to be set up, you know, there they are covered with blood, you know, having a cigarette or, you know, texting, just chatting. They just look ridiculous.
I giggle sometimes. I mean, I'm sure there's many takes during this movie I'm being chased with carrying Scarlet and the kids are running and I have these people chasing behind me and I'm giggling. I have a smile ear to ear like, God, you're not supposed to be laughing. I'm like, well, come on, it's funny, man.
It's like a weird Saturday Night Live skit or something. It's just bizarre. It's so funny. And there was one scene I remember where the infected are all chasing after us through this field just after the helicopter comes down. And we started placing bets on who was going to come first, running in a row. And then they just started to hit the deck because the ground was really, really rough. Like this. It's just, they're so great with their movements, though. I'm a big fan.
One of the main zombies, I think he's a movement coach as well. I think he was a ballet dancer. He's certainly a dancer, and it's quite beautiful, the choreography. You know, it's not just a bunch of people running and going blur at you with lots of blood. It's very carefully choreographed.
So do run, but no sort of arm swinging. Yeah. All the infected come from a movement background, so whether that's dance, gymnastics, circus, mime, so they all have some movement background.
When I first showed up to rehearsal, when I got to London, the coordinator's actually inside with 100 infected people in this room, and they're all just laying there, just kind of groaning. And he like blows a whistle, and then all of a sudden they start freaking out.
we chose a large group to be infected, and it went to workshops to get them all up to speed with the infection and the movement and what's behind the infection and where it comes from, and so everyone understood, you know, what they were playing and portraying.
We are human, but we are infected with 100% rage.
I wouldn't describe the movement as zombies, and I wouldn't describe it as creatures. I would say it was very animalistic, and that's what Juan Carlos wanted. In the first film, there was a certain scene towards the end of the film where one of the soldiers is chained up and is very animalistic, sort of dog-like, almost sort of like a savage Rottweiler or something like that. And that's what he really wanted, and that's how he wanted all the infected to be.
Rage.
Juan Carlos has mentioned, you know, he wanted the sound to be very like a human growl. Now, obviously, that's interpreted in a lot of different ways, which is great, because then you get those different sounds coming from people. And obviously I'm there to make sure everyone understands the same way, so everyone thinks the same but has their individual elements to it.
I didn't realise it would be that scary because, you know, I've been outside talking to these infected people because they're just regular people who are playing parts outside, having a cup of coffee with them, chatting away about their day jobs and, you know, what they've been doing recently. And then you get into a room and perform the scene, and I've been genuinely terrified of them coming at me.
Just seeing them, and action, and then, and cut.
I like watching them being made up and everything. There's just so much blood, and it's scary, especially when you're running away from them. Obviously, when they're all made up and in costume, it doesn't seem real, but when you're actually doing it and they're behind you and making the noises, it's really shocking. It's scary stuff.
The makeup, you know, when I saw sort of like the bites and the blood and the contact lenses and that, oh, it's amazing. Amazing. You know, they did a really fantastic job. It just looks so real.
Action! Head!
The costumes that the infected have, we just dyed them, broke them down and made them dirty to try and explain, you know, thinking how far they might have had to fight or run or sweat. So we use glycerine for sweat and, you know, spray them all down. Then we just sort of worked with different types of blood. We'll put a thick, dark, black colour on, and then we put some nice fresh red around the neck, so, you know, from where they've thrown up or bitten or been in a fight. So we just build up the layers of it. But if they're setting off and I see them quite up close and they're infected, then they've all got fresh blood in their mouths that the makeup give to them, and so that sort of spits out and comes down their front as well.
Playing an infected person was, I wasn't really looking forward to it, to be honest, because I know that it's difficult, you know, with contact lenses and covered in blood and stuff like that. So you're kind of aware that from the outside that it looks great, you know, but when you're actually doing it, it's hard work, you know.